It's the latest episode of The Ugly Truth. Today we're talking a little bit about my birthday and also some truly depressing celeb news, but we have to talk about it because why not? And some hilarious ugly and awkward moments of the week. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy the show.
It's another uncensored look at the world around you, from sisters who will say just about anything to anyone at any time. It's the Uggs. Jamie?
He has forgotten how mean I can be, apparently. I need to remind him.
Paula?
Either have a single thought of your own or just don't talk!
Uncensored as always, it's time for the Ugly Truth.
Welcome to The Ugly Truth. This is episode 466. Hello, everyone. It's Friday. Well, we're recording on Friday, I should say. This drops on Sunday, so
yes.
Whatever.
They're just like, what? Friday was.
They're like, we don't care. It's all timeless to us. We don't.
Show us your tits. No, I'm just kidding.
Show us your tits. Come to Mama, boys.
Isn't that what was that movie? Or it's like always concert. Show us your tits.
Oh, I don't know what that is, but I know it's a sure thing. Is that one line? Which I love that movie.
That is funny.
I believe that was Nicolette Sheridan's debut in film.
On The Sure Thing?
Yeah, because she played basically she was just this quiet.
Oh, she was The Sure Thing, huh?
Yeah. Oh, God, that is such, you know what? I'm going to watch that now.
That is a cute movie.
It is.
You know what? Wasn't her boyfriend Anthony Edwards?
Was it?
I think so.
Oh, I thought it might have been the bad guy in Real Genius.
You know what? It may have been. Yeah.
Not the professor.
Kenneth. Stop touching yourself.
Kenneth, this is God.
Jesus. Hello, Jesus. That's one of my favorite lines.
Real Genius is.
Is that why they found you in a pool of Jell-O? It was hot and I was hungry.
That's a great movie too.
I know.
I didn't like the youngster that they used. I just thought he was so ugly.
You know, I don't think he was really in any. Yeah, I know. They could have picked a different girl. But, you know, she was supposed to be a weirdo anyway. So, I mean, I get it. But he didn't really do, I think, any other movies after that. I think he maybe did like one.
Well, he wasn't attractive.
No, but I mean, he had a niche, you know?
Although I will say that, yeah, he could have been in Revenge of the Nerds and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, shit, if they can find a role for Booger, I mean, come on.
Booger's been Booger for like 30 years. He's never been and I think his name is always Booger in everything he does, by the way.
No matter what he did. Like, completely unrelated to Revenge of the Nerds. It's like, it's Booger.
He also plays Booger on American Dad. He's a voice of one of the friends. And I don't think his name is Booger, but I think it is. I don't know.
Well, what was his name? Snot?
Snots.
Oh, I've got this friend named Loogie. He's just...
Yeah.
God, I don't know how I would feel about not being able to escape like this identity.
Well, he's probably a millionaire, so he's like, bring the Booger money.
I guess he embraced it, but...
Exactly. And he's good and better off dead, which is a fantastic movie.
This is pure snow. Look, half my brain is frozen. He's like, would you quit snorting that stuff?
Do you know what the value of this mountain is? Yeah, he's good.
God, he's always snorting nasal spray. Really? Do you know where I could score some?
He's so funny. Just go down this hill really fast.
When it gets in your way, turn.
Yeah. It's a good movie.
All those were.
So let's just get this over with. Today is officially my birthday.
Dun, 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 dun. I
can't lie because it shouldn't be a big thing, but I am 50. Mm-hmm. And it fucking sucks. Mm-hmm. It only sucks because I have been really good about staying present for the last few years, where it's like I'm only focusing on, I'm not trying to freak out about what's ahead of me. I'm just trying to stay present so I appreciate stuff. And it's been very helpful. It really relieves a lot of stress for me. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking about it. So when you're really present all the time, you really recognize how much time we're given and it's limited. And I'm like, God, if I'm lucky, I'm halfway there. If I'm lucky, I'm halfway there, which is still, it's a lot of time, but it's like, anything can happen from now and, because we start to die, and it just seems to speed up the older you get. And so it's depressing in that aspect. But I mean, I'm really healthy. I'm active. I work out and exercise. I take good care of myself. So I'm not really worried about dying tomorrow, but it does make you recognize you're like, fuck, the clock is ticking. Clock is ticking. But I will say, I like the fact that I know more now. I definitely am better off now than I was in my 20s.
Oh, yeah.
Which is nice. I'm in a marriage that I'm really happy in. And so it's like, all right, so I mean, everyone's healthy. I have, my sisters are my best friends. What more could I possibly need?
I read something yesterday that said 40 is like the old for the younger generation, but 50 is the young for the older generation.
Yes.
So you're actually considered young for like the generation you're approaching. So like all the, late 60s, they're just like, oh, that bitch, because she's just like, she's just barely 50,
She's a baby. Yeah.
Exactly. So you're considered young.
I'm in the Gen X world. I'm a Gen Xer, and my opinion, we're the best generation because we were there before the internet and smartphones, and we had to make do. Our parents kicked us outside and locked the door. We were allowed to walk to school. We were allowed to be, hurt ourselves and not have to have it reported all the time. Teachers had a little more power over discipline. I mean, it was just a very different time. I'm not saying it was fair or right, but it did make us pretty tough. Oh, and then, we were there when the internet was invented. We actually have those people in our generation. They're a little bit older, but not by much. The Bill Gates of the world, they're our age, in our age range. So it's like we've been growing up with the internet and technology. We're the only generation who has that privilege. We know what it's like to have our parents do an emergency breakthrough on the phone and absolutely verbally assault us for tying up the telephone, whereas now it's like you just text your child to come to dinner in the same house.
I know.
So my point is I am 50. I was constantly thinking of course, Sex and the City, because at the time it was the only thing that women have to relate as far as getting older and being proud of it. And I just remember Samantha going, well, there was one scene where she's like, I'm 45 and I've got nothing to be embarrassed about. And I'm like, you go, girl. And I'm like, all women should be that way. Why are we so afraid to say I'm 50 fucking years old and I have nothing to be ashamed of? Unless you're, struggling, I guess. But even so, just to make it to that age is great to me.
Well, and I don't think 50 is as old as people think it is.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
If we saw pictures of our mother at 50, I mean, you might as well think she was 70. But
well, their generation aged very quickly because, first of all, they didn't know anything about skincare. Second, they were owning homes at 21 because their husbands were coming back from the war. Like, it is a completely different. We essentially live in a time of peace. There's not been a world war since the 40s. So,
well, there wasn't a big emphasis on appearance. I'm not saying appearance is everything, but
well, yeah, but they aged
looking attractive and everything like that. That was for like the young single girls, which basically was like 14 to 18.
And you didn't have to do much when you're that young. You're pretty just getting out of bed.
Well, you're virginal looking, so yeah. I mean, my God.
Your hair is good. You haven't lived any life, so you don't have any frow lines.
Yeah, you can put on lipstick and you're just like, wow, But I mean,
why are you wearing red lipstick? Oh, it's prom night.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm gonna go land myself a husband or get pregnant, and then I'll get myself a husband. Same difference.
Yes, exactly.
But then once you get married and you start having kids, I mean, it's okay to look frumpy with glasses because your husband will probably just get a mistress anyway. So
yeah, he's just gonna be fucking his secretary. So
exactly.
What does it matter?
So I mean, that was the cycle of life.
The circle of life. And then the 70s came and women are like, fuck you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. We're burning our bras. We're taking it no more. We're getting jobs. I'm like, way to go, geniuses. Then you're going to come home, cook dinner, and raise your kids anyway, you stupid ass.
Yeah, it's not like the husband's going to be like, okay.
They're just like, go ahead, bitches. We're not going to do a damn thing.
Okay, so let's move on to somebody else's bad news. It looks far more dire than it probably is, but I have divorce, cancer, and death in the news.
Okay.
So let's start with divorce. There is another COVID marriage fatality. Mm-hmm. Mary Kate Olsen has filed for divorce from her 50-year-old husband. He's a banker. And they live in New York. She's quarantining. She's quarantining with her sister. Mm-hmm. So, I totally feel her. She's 33. and she has requested an emergency divorce because New York, the proper, and they live, of course, in Manhattan, their courthouses are closed. And so, but if it's an emergency, they will grant it for you. So she's saying this has to be an emergency because she's terrified that her husband is trying to deprive her of her home that they've lived in. If he is successful, I will not only lose my home, but I risk losing my personal property because he's given her till the 18th to get her things out of their house. And the problem is that she can't because there's no moving company. There's nothing working right now in New York. And so she's like, I need some assistance in this. And she's also wanting to have a judge uphold the terms of their prenup, ordering that her husband will continue to provide her with health and dental. Now, it was full on rejected. They're like, no, it's not an emergency, billionaire. You don't need us to do that for you. I hate that she tried to pull some strings to get it emergency because she doesn't want to lose her possessions. I'm sure that for her, it's dire. You know, she probably has some shit in there that she doesn't, because he's like, I'm going to throw it in the street. I'm going to dump it in the garbage, whatever.
I'm going to sell it or whatever like that.
Right. And so she's like, I don't want that to happen. And so, but to me, it's like,
does she not have like some security muscle that she can just send in there?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Don't they have security? I mean, they're constantly surrounded by large men. Can't they just have them go over there and get it?
That's what I would be like, especially if it's the properties in her name. I'd be like, here's, my 5 large, massive security guys. Go ahead and pull something. They're going to beat your ass.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to have any sympathy because I'm like, I know how wealthy you are. Everybody knows that you are.
What happened? Did somebody quit smoking and now all hell broke loose? I mean,
well, no, it's a COVID thing. I mean, she fled the home to her sister mid-April and immediately wanted a divorce. And so I'm like, oh, okay. So essentially, once again, this COVID pandemic has forced people who got married, who hardly spend time together. And they're like, wow, I really don't like you anymore. This is like the worst idea we've ever had. Let's get away from each other.
It's so weird to me because they were together for I want to say 7 or 8 years before they got married. And they were together for a really, really long time. And then they got married and they've been married, 5 years or something?
I think they've been married for 5 years. I don't know if they were together that long, but everybody hated the age. His children hated the age. It's a 16-year age difference. And so I don't know if they have been together that long because that would make her really, really young. But it doesn't matter. She's got her own money and she has a lot of it, a lot of money.
Yeah, and then to finally decide, we don't want to be together. Because I've seen other people divorce, and the Cavallari was 10 years, and there's somebody else who's getting a divorce, I could have sworn. I'm
just saying that this COVID that requires people to hunker down, it's not a honeymoon for a lot of these people who probably spent a lot of time apart. And now
but she wasn't even with him. That's the weird part.
Well, no, she was, and then she left and went to pandemic with her sister. She was there until mid-April, and then she took off, and he's like, fuck you, you can't come back. And so he's like, I'm going to get rid of your shit. You have till the 18th. His attorneys have been dealing with her. And so she's like, I can't get all my stuff. And I'm sure it's a ginormous penthouse. There's no way to retrieve everything. She probably can't walk in with a box and take her things. I'm sure she owes half if not all the crap in there. And he probably wants to sell the place. So anyway, I was like, okay, so one more COVID marital demise. Yeah, but really. It is interesting how, some people are like, oh, we're so tight. And everybody else is like, I hate you. Okay. Cancer. I'm going to whisper it. So Janelle Brown, one of the sister wives, had skin cancer.
Really?
Yes. Now if you follow the sister wives, Janelle is the second wife, and she's very, very, very fair skinned. Super blonde hair, super light blue eyes, super pale skin.
Almost albino, yeah.
She's practically albino. She's recovering from surgery to remove a cancerous lesion off of her lip.
Oh.
Okay, so this is what's interesting, and I have a little backstory after I read this. It came in the one spot my cold sores have occurred on for decades. I'm so careful about sunscreen because I'm so fair, it never occurred to me that it may be skin cancer. After almost a year of over-the-counter and holistic remedies to remove the scar, she noticed no change and made an appointment with a dermatologist. Unfortunately, her appointment was canceled because of the pandemic, so she finally had a telemedicine appointment with a dermatologist in mid-April, and they immediately said, you have basal cell carcinoma. It's the most common form of skin cancer. It's obviously slow growing. We all know that.
Well, it's not lethal or anything like that.
It's not, but it's definitely something that can spread.
Well, you don't want to ignore it, but I mean.
She assumed it was just a scar. Now she realizes she missed the early warning signs and she regrets waiting so long. And I saw a photo of her. She posted a photo and they took a dime size off of her upper lip on the left side. She's going to have they said that it won't scar because, plastic surgery is so good now.
Right.
They can fix it. But I don't know how much you watch the Sister Wives or you really take a look at her, but she's always had what I thought was a mole above the left side of her lip.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
It's not a mole. It was a cold sore scar because every time she gets a cold sore, that's where it crops up. And so she just thought it was excessive scarring from all the cold sores that she would get throughout the years. Now, I don't know if you go to the Sister Wives Reddit page.
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, I go there. I don't as frequently now because there's no season or anything. But they posted about this, and that's how I found out about it. And I said, she said, I've had this for decades, and I didn't realize. And I said, decades my ass, because in the Reddit, everyone assumes that Robin gave everybody lip herpes. And so I said that, and I got hardcore downvoted because everyone loves Janelle. And so it looked like Janelle actually responded. She goes, no, I've literally had it for decades. And I was like, oh shit, Janelle's in here. But everybody knows that they kind of troll the Reddit page.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, they do. And so I'm actually really careful because the reality is I don't hate anybody. I just like the show. And so I don't talk shit about the kids or anything like that, because if it was me, I'd be like, what the fuck? Don't be talking about my kid like that.
Right.
So, and they're kids. So anyway, I said, it's a joke. I go, you guys are merciless about how Robin brought herpes into the family. And now suddenly this is the line. This is the line.
Yeah,
we're not allowed to do that.
Line, huh?
Yeah. And that got downvoted. I'm like, fuck you guys. I was mad. I was like, you guys are assholes.
Reddit is so temperamental. God.
They are. Anyway, so, keep an eye on your fair skin. And that was the other thing. She's like, God, I slather myself in sunscreen, but I guess it just doesn't matter sometimes. Okay, now death, and this one's actually quite sad. Beckett, Melissa Etheridge's son, has passed away from an OD of opioids.
I wasn't sure, I wasn't sure what it was. I was just like, it's either suicide or something else, or...
Yeah, no, he had a massive opioid addiction, and he was only 21, which is really sad. Now, they were very open once it got found out that David Crosby from Crosby, Stills and Nash donated the sperm for the couple. I think it was... whatever, I can't remember the other mom. And so they had 2 children through David Crosby's sperm. David Crosby is a notorious drug addict. Like, he had his liver replaced. Like he's hardcore.
Probably didn't choose very wisely on that part.
Why would you do that? Like, why would you ask someone who has a genetic addiction?
Because some people don't believe addiction is genetic. Some people think it's like, something
environmental,
you just develop, or
right.
Or they think all musicians have drug problems. And who's to say that Melissa Etheridge doesn't have a drug problem?
Well, we don't know. That's true. We don't know that. But an addictive
have you seen pictures of her? She looks like trash, warmed up.
An addictive personality is not. You're not born with a drug addiction. You're born with an addictive personality, and you can put that in anything. Our stepdad has an addictive personality, and he goes through things more than anyone I know.
Yeah, he's addicted to being an asshole.
Well, that is true. On top of that, he also went through the Pepsi phase, the weight loss phase, the biking phase, the guitar phase. I mean, they go through these phases where they can't
he'll
stop.
Hit something hardcore. But, Mom does that too.
Does she?
I mean, how many times has she started some activity, hits it hardcore, and then, burns out after 6 months?
That is true.
She did the beading. She did what else did she was crocheting for a while. She did those little plastic flowers or whatever those things were. She was ready to take that business global. And
oh, the silk flowers.
Remember the silk flowers that she sold at gas stations? And
yeah, that's right. You're right. I don't know if that's an addiction or just just always looking for it's an entrepreneurial spirit. I'm not sure. Like I said a while ago, we're doing this pandemic thing, but life still moves on. And so it's like people are dying, people are being born, it's like nothing has changed really. It's just that we have this umbrella of this other thing on top of it. So I thought, oh my God, I'm like, I can't even imagine having to deal with that kind of situation under this on top of it. It would just be so difficult. I mean, it's just an added weight that forever you will have. I don't know. But I felt bad. I'm like, no one, if you can't get a hold of your demons, it's just, God, it's the worst. So, but anyway, moving on. So those are the celeb news. Oh, well, Katy Perry decided to pose nude again. So there's that.
Wait, did she have her baby yet or no?
No, she's still pregnant, and she just felt...
Why does she think anyone gives a shit?
I don't know. That's the thing. It's like, why is this woman so popular? She's like one of the number one celebs to follow on Instagram and Twitter. And I'm like, why do you guys like this person? She's so unlikable to me. She ranks right up there with Anne Hathaway. I don't get it. I don't understand. Who is she appealing to? Is it because she's naked all the time? Is that it? Is it her boobs?
It could be like a Paige Van Zandt thing. Like, why does she have so many fucking followers on Instagram?
Because she's pretty.
She's not, though.
Well, a lot of people think she is. I'm just saying.
I don't find her pretty at all. I think she
understand.
just looks like a squatty troll with stringy blonde hair and fake tits.
I think it's because of her body. Her body's beautiful, and she's a fighter, and she's tough,
Well, and that's the other thing too, is she's just like, I make more money on Instagram than I do on UFC. I'm like, that's because you suck as a fighter. You're not even ranked.
Not anymore.
Yeah, the last thing Paige Van Zandt, her and her husband did is they took naked pictures of themselves in their kitchen.
I saw that.
Like exercising or something like
Her
that.
butt was on the counter. Why would you do that?
Yeah, I know. And everyone was kind of talking about that. And they're just like, well, I like her. And I'm just like, yes, nothing says marriage. Like, here, fellas, take a look at my naked wife, And I'm just like, who does that?
Someone who doesn't really, I don't know. If Daryl ever did that, I'd be really mad.
Well, that's not respect. It's just like, hey guys, take a look at my naked wife. Nothing says respect in marriage like that.
Yeah, nothing like the sanctity of marriage to show
Look
off.
what I got.
Look what I get to.
Her ass's cheeks are where we prepare our chicken breasts with fat-free seasoning.
Our skinless chicken breast is prepared right on this counter every day.
Where we nourish ourselves, just so we can keep exercising.
I know.
We're fucking weirdos.
I know. It's so true. It's funny. If anything, I'm starting, and I did read an article about how it's like people are really starting to wisen up to the superficial behavior that is online now from a lot of celebs, where it's like, here's a picture of me in my bikini in my pool drinking a margarita in LA because it's just so hard out there, you guys. It's like, no one gives a shit. No one cares about you anymore.
I mean, why do they call them influencers? I'm like, what are you influencing? You're trying to tell people to go out in their shitty backyards with their pool that's dirty at the bottom with green algae and drink a margarita out of a plastic cup.
Because they can't get a pool guy out here.
They don't even have a blender, so they're just going to use it with, the ice cubes with, mixed vegetables because change out your cubes. Remember? Yes. Johnny Walker with mixed vegetables? Change out your cubes.
Yes, I remember. That's so funny. So really quick, because it was my birthday, Daryl woke me up, and
I can't wait to hear this.
Why? So so at 4:30ish this morning, there was a really big earthquake in Nevada, but it was felt all the way through to Davis, California. And so my father-in-law, Daryl's dad, felt it because he was like within miles.
Oh my God, yeah,
of it in Reno, and he's like, oh yeah, it shook our bed, and it was one of those long-lasting ones, which is probably why we felt it. So
I didn't feel a damn thing.
Well, some people didn't, and so I didn't necessarily feel it, but I woke up out of a dead sleep. And I was like, why am I wide awake? And there was nary a sound. I mean, not a bug, a rooster, a car, nothing. And that's really weird. That's not normal.
That is weird. You're like, is the power out? Like,
Yes, it was one of those really weird, dead silent feelings. And so I was like, wow, that was weird. So I went up and I went to the bathroom, and then I was wide awake. And I'm like, why am I so awake? This is so weird. I have felt earthquakes here before where it literally rocks the door, and you can hear, it's like, you think someone's trying to open the door. It's like the whole house kind of moves and you can hear it creaking.
I only felt an earthquake one time, and it felt like my bed was going over train tracks.
Yeah.
And that's the only time I've ever felt it. And it was like, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I woke up and I was sleeping, and I remember waking up and I just remember feeling like,
yeah.
And it was a weird sensation. I'm like, what the hell is that? And by the time I started to figure it out, it was already over. So,
and here's what was weird is that normally when an earthquake is coming, animals react weird. They act funny. Yesterday,
they do start to act weird.
Yesterday, Bodega was such an asshole. He would.
Oh, really?
Oh my God. He was like, he even snapped, but he growled at Malia. And we're like, what
Maybe
the
he was
fuck?
trying to get you guys to go inside.
Well, he was just not himself, and it was really
agitated.
He was agitated, yeah. And so I'm like, oh well, this kind of makes sense because he was the whole day was kind of off. So I was like, oh damn, that's so weird. So I did finally fall back asleep around 6. And then I woke up from this really crazy dream because I don't know about you, but when I fall back asleep in the morning, I have these really weird, very vivid dreams. I had woken up crying and laughing at the same time. And Daryl goes, are you all right? Was it a bad dream? I'm like, no, it wasn't a bad dream. It was actually really stressful. We were traveling. I miss traveling so much, Paula. I miss it so much. I forgot. Daryl and we go out of town quite a bit. And I didn't realize.
At least once a month. Yeah.
I didn't realize how much until this whole thing went down. We were supposed to go in April to Nashville for a few days. And that obviously got canceled, which is fine. I'm cool with it. But it's like, I'm really missing it. And, we went to Napa all the time for an overnight.
Well, I was going to say, you guys go to Napa at least once a month because you usually are picking up some kind of wine or something.
And then we make it a night. We make a go of it. We spend the night and, whatever. So it's been a while. And so I dreamt that we flew to LA. We had some issues with the flight, and then we go to a hotel, and, we had some issues with the hotel, and then you and Stephanie were there, and you're like, well, I hope you get at least a free meal out of all of this. And I'm like, a free meal? I better get a fucking upgrade. And you're like, yeah, really? And then we were all at the beach. It was so crazy. It's like everything that I've missed, everything I missed happened in like 5 minutes. It was so funny. So I didn't have my phone or anything with me, and I couldn't remember the hotel I was staying at, and Daryl had stayed to fix the hotel situation, so I couldn't find him. I couldn't remember where to go. I didn't have my phone, and you're like, oh, it'll be fine. You'll work it out. And so I show up at a hotel going, well, I hope this is the hotel. And he walks in, and I start crying, and I'm laughing because I'm such a dork. And so I woke up crying and laughing. He's like, oh my God, that's so sweet. I'm like, it's weird, because
You're like, it's not because of you. It's not because I'm lucky.
It was like just this relief and laughing at myself for being relieved. Anyway, I wake up and he goes, well, let me go get you some coffee. So he brings me coffee, and I have this one mug that I really love from Starbucks. It's bright white with a gold crown on it. He goes, I think today it's appropriate for you to drink out of your princess mug. So he brings me that. I'm like, thanks. And so he gives me a card. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm not, I'm about my birthdays. It's not that I hate them, but I'm just not a fan of a lot of attention, I think.
I hate attention.
I just don't, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. So.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't not want any, but it's just awkward. I just feel weird. Everyone always asks me why I can't take a compliment. And I'm just like, probably because I've never received hardly any in my life. And I just don't know what to do with them.
It's just uncomfortable. Well, I just think it's because we're awkward. I don't know if it's about history. I just think we're just weird about it. We're like, because we think pretty highly of ourselves, but when other people say it, it's like, I don't know.
Maybe you do. I don't.
So I open the card.
They're just like, you're so pretty. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm hideous. I'm ugly and a fat pig.
Why would you say that today?
Why do you say things like that? That's not what I was getting at.
Actually, that's funny because yesterday Daryl was laying it on thick. I'm like, what do you want? He's like, what do you mean? I go, why is it every time I walk by you, you say something nice? I go,
what are you after? What do you want?
I feel like you're being,
what is it?
Yeah, I go, I feel like you're being patronizing to me. And he's like, patronizing? I'm like, yes. Every time I walk by, you're like, oh, you're so pretty. I'm like, shut up. Just shut up. So anyway, he goes, I'm sorry. And I'm like, oh, God, what? I don't know.
Like, I can just hear the sarcasm and patronizing dripping from your mouth.
But it's not.
I don't know what you're talking about. Wait, you feel? Are you being patronizing? Why are you responding with everything I say as a question term?
Why are you?
Either have a single thought of your own or just don't talk.
So I open up.
They've been accosted without even knowing what's happened.
I don't know what's happening. It's like I'm confused.
That's because you don't know anything.
I'm so. It's like I'm so confused. I'm scared. So anyway, I open up the card, and glaring in front of me in bright neon orange is the 50. And I said, why would you do this to me? And he goes, well, I have another card that's better. And I'm like, okay, why?
Then you should have started with that one.
Why would you give this to me? So I read it, and it's like, here, here's to the best year yet, all this stuff. And at the end, he goes, I know you're going to destroy this, but I really wanted to buy something with a number on it. And I was like, you are an asshole. Like, I am going to destroy it.
He should have bought a card for a 5-year-old and then drawn a zero.
A baby zero.
A small zero.
Right?
Maybe like a Cheerio and glued it on there.
It's true. So I'm just like, oh, God. So now it's staring at me. I'm going to throw it away. I'm not keeping it.
What? Is he like a sadist?
I was just going to say, I'm like, you a masochist? But
no, masochists like to receive pain.
Yeah,
sadist
I'm going to
likes
give
to
him
give
pain. I'm going to.
Okay.
No, he's
yeah,
going
I got
to
what
pay.
you're saying. Maybe he's both. I'm going to give this to you. It's like, yeah, I'm going to give this to you because I know you're going to hurt me.
Yes.
So as much as I enjoy giving this to you because I know it hurts you, I know that it's going to hurt even more when you hit me.
And you're going to be like, and he's going to be like, thank you.
He's like, I'm
Thank
partially
you.
aroused. I'm partially aroused bringing you your coffee and this horrific card.
Well, it explains the boner, that's for sure. Jesus. Anyway, I will send you a photo of it so you can see it.
Just take a picture of it. Yeah, that's hideous.
I will. I'm like, here you go.
Neon orange, you said? Neon orange. God.
Yes, with foil.
It's like Caltrans. Like, what am I, a giant orange cone in the road? Everyone, I'm 50!
He's like, I want everyone. I want everyone to know that you're old as fuck now. Yeah, it's funny. We were supposed to go to France for my birthday. That was the ultimate goal. And for me, I told him, I said, look, if we're going to travel internationally, and this was like a year ago when we talked about it, I said, we're going to travel internationally. You know that because I'm so afraid of flying, that we're really going to have to go all out. Like, I want first class. I want to fly first class if we're going somewhere that far away. I don't care about what we do financially when we're there, because just being there will be enough for me. But travel wise and accommodations, I really want to not spare too much expense, especially if we're going on the premise that it's my 50th and I may never come back. So that obviously did not occur. There's no way that is not going to happen. We're hopeful that next year we'll get to go, and I still want first class, but it won't be as essential other things. So because of that, and because we can't even go to a really fancy restaurant, we can't even do anything crazy like go to New York or anything, So we happen to know someone who owns a French cafe. So he has essentially rented out the cafe for just the two of us, and he is having the French chef, who's classically trained, prepare us a full gourmet French dinner.
Wow.
So yeah, and then the pastry chef will be preparing our own very, very French plated desserts. And they have been working on the menu for a week. So when we go tonight, after this cafe is closed, we'll be the only patrons in there. We will have Malia is going to be our server. So it's somebody who lives with us. So there's no weird pandemic-y thing. And then the chefs in the back, which is, of course, my daughter, Mackenzie, my daughter, your niece, and then her boss are in back preparing the meal. So we're all COVID-free and COVID-friendly because we've all been around each other. And yeah, it's going to be really cool. And so Daryl's like, I thought you might hate it. I'm like, why would I hate that? I think it's amazing. I love it. And so that is what we're doing tonight. So I'm like, I love it. I think it's great. It's better than nothing, because he's like, well, we're going to have a special dinner. I'm like, what, like on our deck or something? Like, I had no idea what he had planned. So I think it's really romantic. I think
that is going to be romantic.
Yeah, it'll be nice. But I told him initially when he said that he was taking, we were going to have the cafe to ourselves. I said, listen, I don't want a party. He goes, you're not having a party. I'm like, well, is family going to be there? He goes, well, some family. And I'm like, well, it's like, are my sisters coming? He's like, no. And I'm like, well, what are we doing? Are your parents coming? Like, what is this? He goes, it's just us. I'm like, okay. Because like, if he had invited you guys, I'd be cool with it. But if it was like some big ass thing, I would have been really upset. But
no, I don't think he would do that.
He did. He knows I hate party. He would never throw me a birthday party. Never. I would hate it so much. I'd be in my room all the time, and you'd be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm staying away from that nonsense." Like, I would hate it.
I'm getting ready, Jamie. It's 10:00.
Oh, is everyone drunk yet? Because then I'll come down.
You're still in your towel, so it's my birthday.
What? I started watching something on Netflix. I can't help it.
It's 1 a.m. Your birthday's over. Is it? Oh, well, then I guess I just won't come down.
Oh, I'm just going to bed now. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't know what it is. I'm with you, though. It's very awkward to have that kind of attention. I've never been a fan. It's not even about turning older. It's just the whole idea is kind of weird.
If I was to do like a big birthday, like a bash or something, I'd probably want to do like a family like vacation or something, and like maybe like have a party on the beach or like a bonfire or like barbecue or something like that. But just with like family.
Yeah,
nothing, not like external friends or something. Something like that.
Yes.
That would be like my idea of a party.
Well, just anything where I'm just comfortable and I don't have to be on and be, hosting and being friendly. Like, oh, thank you for this book that I'll never read. All right. Well, let's do some ugly and awkward moments of the week.
to think if I do. I mean, God, this has been such a hellacious week.
I know. And we're going to talk about it next week. You are dealing with some health issues with your pupster. Yes. And so little Bo, who's diabetic, had some issues. So you are going to fill us in on all the details, the very expensive details next week.
Yes, expensive too. Okay, I kind of have. It's not awkward, but it's just typical ugly. Typical ugly behavior.
Yes.
So I got a call. It was from a recruiter company, and they asked if I was still looking for an HR job, and I'm just like, yeah, actually, I am. You know, because I'm kind of just always open.
Always.
They said that they had a position open for like an employment services company, which is kind of what I did last time. I said, yeah, I'm like, this is exactly what I did before. And so we talked on the phone for like 45 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And he said, I'm really excited about, all the things that you've done and your personality and all of that. He says the 5-year gap could be a problem. He says, but I'm really confident that, you more than make up for it in other areas. And as long as you're current on current laws and everything, he says, I think we can get past that if I could just get them to interview you. I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. And so the pay was low, but I'm just like, at this point, I don't care.
Just to get something on the resume.
Well, and I'm just like, if I can just get in, then that will just get me a better chance to just do something than nothing. And so hung up, and I was super excited. I had, I told Victor what was going on. And then he said, okay, I'm going to send you an email. And then he says, as soon as you get it, he says, just respond with your most current resume and cover letter. So I'm like, okay. So I was sitting on the couch just waiting because he said he's going to send it right away. So I get the email from him. I open it and he's just like, I'm so sorry. He says, I just talked to my boss about you. And he said that the company had contacted him already and said that they would job offered somebody else.
Oh, my God.
Just like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, I just spent 45 minutes on the phone with you punk. And I was so pissed.
That's
and I'm like, well, that was a big waste of time. So,
aww, that is awkward.
Because I was like, my brain was already thinking. I'm like, okay, it's here. It's in Folsom, but the hours were really good, and
my God,
all
that's
stuff.
so annoying.
And so, it was so annoying, and I'm just like, I'm like that wasn't worth getting my heart rate up over. So.
Oh God, you know what? That is very typical ugly. That happens.
It was. I'm just like, go fucking figure. I just wasted 45 minutes and 15 minutes of brain cells for no reason.
Oh, that's annoying.
So,
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So mine is really funny. This week I thought I was going to be telling you the tale of how I lost my glasses as a grown ass woman, but that did not happen.
And I would have told you, Jamie, touch the top of your head.
It was worse. So
were they on your eyes?
No. I was doing some serious deep cleaning in the front room because the cats had just taken over, and sometimes that happens. They love the front room. Right when you walk in my house, to the right, we have that big gray couch, and they love hanging out in that room because it's quiet. And so it gets built up with fur, and so like every 3 days you have to like vacuum everything and Swiffer and sweep and dust, or it just looks gross. So it had been like a week. And the floors needed to be done, everything. So at some point, and I was dusting everything. I was vacuuming the stairs. I had taken my glasses off because I cannot wear them unless I'm reading. So
right.
I'd set them somewhere, and I'd forgotten where I'd set them. I'm like, well, I don't know where they are. So I had set them somewhere weird. In my brain, I remember setting them down. I just couldn't remember where that was. For 3 days, I looked for my glasses. I finally just pulled out an old pair because I needed to be able to see when I was reading or doing whatever, and I couldn't find them. And I said, well, I'm just going to get my prescription filled like at a freaking, whatever, and just get a cheaper pair and just have them mailed to me or whatever, because I can't not have the current prescription. This is crazy. And I'm like, and I don't know how I fucking lost my goddamn glasses at the ripe old age of what I am. This is a child's thing. This is not an adult thing. And Daryl, of course, had the audacity to say he was buying me chains. And I wanted to kick his ass.
What is with him lately?
Oh my God. He's way too spry. He has forgotten how mean I can be, apparently. I need to remind him how mean I can be.
Like, why are you, like, I would have been like, yeah, buy me the chains. See what happens to those bad boys.
Oh, I told him that would be the murder weapon of his death.
I'd be like, it will take them a month to count the lashings on your back.
I'm like, are you kidding? I go, they'll be so embedded in your neck. So at your trial, there will be no question that I'm the one that did it.
Exactly. You'll have been decapitated by those things.
By chains. So,
in fact, the coroner will be actually, feel a little bit pride that she was able to be the one to say, I was on the Jamie Minor murder case. And I saw the damage she did when she decapitated her husband.
There was a lot of anger there.
With the glasses, chains, croquis, or whatever you want to call them.
And interestingly,
I don't even think they call them croquis anymore.
they found the glasses wedged in his anus.
Yes.
So crazy.
Usually we find like some sort of signature note, like something in the throat, lodged in the throat, like some sort of symbol. We just found the glasses open, shoved up his anus.
Interestingly, so we've gathered that this was definitely a crime of passion.
and then scratched in his back was anus eyes.
Exactly. It's like, here's your fucking chains.
That's what made us look in his anus, and we saw the glasses.
And there they were. And then we realized she definitely did it.
And then when we asked her, did you do this? She just said, yes, I did.
Yes, I did. He had the audacity to get me chains when I turned 50.
That's why we dropped the charges down to manslaughter.
The all-female jury.
Anne-Marie Schubert, the district attorney, took pity on her.
And the all-female jury just could not come to an agreement.
They felt there was reasonable doubt.
Yeah, there was way too much reasonable doubt. So I was doing something and Daryl goes, honey, come here. I have something to show you. And this was 3 days later.
Don't fall for that one.
And he knows where
the hand towel is.
And I said, and I was in the middle of something I was doing our taxes or something. And I said, well, can I wait? He goes, no, you really need to see this. I'm like, God damn it. I'm like, fine. So I get up, and now in our entryway, there's that really cute little brown bench. And then next to it is a potted plant.
Okay.
So he goes, look at the plant. Now, our puppy had escaped and gotten into the front room because we have a gate up for her because she's relentlessly, she's just destructing everything because she's teething. Mm-hmm. And so I said, God, did she eat the plant? So I walk in, I look at the plant, I go, what? And I'm looking at it. He goes, look at the plant. And I go, I'm looking at the plant. He goes, no, look closer.
I'm like, if there's something you want me to see, just point it out. I hate those rhetorical questions.
So I bend over and I'm looking in the plant. And I'm like, what am I looking for? He's like, you don't see it? And I look again and they're my glasses. My glasses are in the plant.
In the dirt or in the plant?
In the dirt, in the plant. But my glasses are also brown. So the frame is brown. So they were totally blended in. And I was like, oh my God, my glasses? And so I look up and there's a little dust mark where the glasses had been setting on the staircase. I had set them on a staircase because I was cleaning and I took them off and set them there so I could finish cleaning. Somebody walked upstairs or something and knocked them into the plant. And it never even occurred to me. I probably did it, actually.
You guys probably could have rewound your own video and watched to see who did it.
So I was like, this is the dumbest thing on the planet. Not only was I really mad at him for summoning me.
Mad at Daryl?
Of course. Not only was I mad for him summoning me, I'm like, you couldn't have just told me? Like, why did it have to go through the mystery?
Just pick them up and say, I found them. Here they are.
Yeah, that's what I would have done. That's what I would have done. I'd be like, hey.
Place. Someone put them in the dirt of the plant by the front door. Who would do that? I have no idea.
Well, not only that, but it's just like, why is this Scooby-Doo? I have to figure it out. It's like, woo-woo. It's like, just say, hey, your glasses, oh my God. I mean, I would have.
If I don't figure it out by like the first or second question, I get angry. I'm just like, show me the goddamn whatever you're trying to show me. I'm not playing 20 questions.
Yes. And so I picked him. I'm like, okay, so I guess this is very awkward. And,
I'm like, what do you want? A Scooby snack?
He's like, oh, this was so funny. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, you know what? I don't see I fail to see the humor. I mean, yes, it's awkward and I feel dumb, but I feel even dumber that you're like, don't you see it? It's like, no, I don't know what you want me to see. I don't have my glasses.
You know what? They have, I believe, at the store in like the snack section, Scooby snacks.
Yes.
Start carrying those around and give him one every time he does something like that. Be like, well,
good boy.
Scooby snack.
You're such a good boy.
Snack. I don't do the question things. I'm like, if you don't show me what it is, I'm leaving. So I'm not doing. Actually,
do that a lot.
Usually I just do this. I'm like, I'm not doing this. And I start walking away. He's like, no, wait. And I'm like, what? No. What is it? Show it to me now. I'm leaving. So.
Anyway,
I have no patience.
I know. So I think that Daryl is really enjoying me turning his age because.
Oh, that's right. He's older than you.
He is. Well, he's a year older than me. So, I mean, he's not.
So he's going to be 51.
Yes. And
you guys will be 5150. You'll be
crazy. Oh my God. That's hilarious. Anyway, all right. Well, that was my awkward moment. I know, we put Daryl through the ringer today, but he fucking deserves it for giving me that ugly ass card. so I don't care.
Oh, he's going to love this. He's going to love every last moment of this.
So, oh, by the way, on a side note, before we say goodbye, I did finally bury Marshawn, the fish.
I saw the picture.
Yes.
So wait a minute. Where was he on this? He was still in the freezer?
Yeah. I had him frozen.
Because what was it, like 3 weeks?
Oh, no. It's been months.
Oh, Jamie. Jesus.
He was a pre-coronavirus death. I just couldn't, honestly, Paula, I could not think of a spot or to bury him. And the idea of throwing him in the trash was repellent. And I just didn't want to bury him somewhere where the dogs could dig him up. You know what I mean? I just wanted it to be somewhere where he'd be peaceful and just rot on his own. So
after did you thaw him out first, or did you just toss him in there like a block of ice?
I put him in there like a block of ice. And then of course the thought that he would thaw and be alive. You know how that happens?
That is not going to happen.
I hope not. But you know what?
He's not fine. Like Cryo Man. Jeez.
I know. So anyway, I buried him.
I better hope there wasn't an electrical storm that night.
It's like Pet Cemetery in my backyard.
You just forgot one thing. You forgot to hook up the doll. You forgot to hook up the doll.
So I buried him. I created a little gravestone, and he's finally. And I mean, as I'm burying him, and I'm, as you know, I'm emotional. But I was just like,
God, did you cry over the block of ice with the fish in it?
I didn't. But I just said, Marshawn, you were a good fish. Safe home.
I'm sorry I froze you to death in the most inhumane way possible.
It wasn't inhumane. He didn't suffer.
Do the research.
What am I supposed to do? Poison him like some people? I'm not doing that. It's mean. That's horrible. It's like being like, no, I'm not doing it. It's like gassing someone to death. I'm not doing it.
So freezing him to death was the better option.
He just went to sleep and then froze.
That's what you think. I told you. I looked it up.
Well, what do they do? Do they realize they're freezing?
Well, they sure get cold, Jamie.
I know. Anyway, all right. Well, we're going to talk more about pets next week.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to the stories.
So, all right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Go to uglytruth.com, click on the Amazon button, do your shopping. And you should go to lipandclip.com and get yourself some makeup as well. Other than that, have a fabulous weekend. Bye.
Thanks for listening and sharing the show. See you next time on The Ugly Truth.